Now I know that some of the animation of Kong was actually motion capture, right? But then some of it was also like keyframe animation. Like how much were you doing sort of like animation from scratch, like keyframe animation, or were you working with motion capture data and then kind of adding sort of the flourishes and the details on top of that, or how much of each technique was used?
It's actually an interesting topic and one that's kind of heavily discussed in the animation department when it comes to what the public is exposed to, what really happens behind the scenes when it comes to animating anything in general, but especially Kong. The reason why is that Andy Serkis is a fantastic actor, and he really gives a great performance. And the motion capture technology that they used for Lord of the Rings for Andy Serkis as Gollum really floored Peter, and he's like, wow, this could really make a difference. And even on that production, how much MoCap do we use? How much hand keyframe do we use? And so they actually had like a little battle that happened where they ended up doing some of his body performance as motion capture for some Gollum scenes, and all the face is all 100% hand key. And a lot of the body is as well, but in that case they used his performance and his timing and his general, because he would climb around on the rocks and things as Gollum, so Andy really liked his performance. And so he's like, well, how can we take advantage of that technology for King Kong? Andy's a great actor, and he's actually cast as Lumpy in this film, so it'd be great to kind of give him the opportunity to bring to life, or give him at least the possibility to bring to life Kong like he did Gollum. And so that they experimented with that, and they came up with like an amazing like one-to-one facial capture system for Kong, where they put dots like all over Andy's face and actually give him false teeth, like big teeth, so that way it'd be more accurate to the muzzle. So that way we actually, the animators, could see in their tests that anytime like Andy would like articulate his face, Kong would have his muzzle, which is obviously not anatomically like a human's, is like the skin would slide over the muzzle and the teeth would expose, and it was really quite an amazing technique that they came up with, and real state-of-the-art, really cool, really amazing effect. However, Andy is not, he's not Gollum, but he's definitely not, a silverback gorilla. Proportionately and all of that, it was a little bit easier on Gollum to do some of the body stuff, of which that's the only thing that they used on occasion was just for body. And on Kong, there's like no way because of the proportion of the arms. And so it was hilarious as in the animation department to see what they were coming up with. And they put huge like arm extensions, big little legs. He walks on his knees. Like, what should we do? How can we cap this? And they couldn't find an accurate solution, obviously. So most of the performance that they did was only for a couple of shots, and it was only on the face. And it was the only two shots that used any motion capture was the really long shots for some of the face. And there's only two that run almost back to back after Anne stands up to Kong. She's like, no, no more. And then he's just kind of sitting there, and he's just looking at her for a while, and it probably goes on for 20, 25 seconds. I think there's one that goes like 35 seconds, which doesn't seem like a long time, but to hand animate that would take a while, and some of the very subtle nuances that they could actually get to translate into the facial puppet they wanted to do. So that's what they used it for. For the rest of the shots, because of the dynamic movements that Kong had to do, which is exactly what Peter Jackson wanted to stick to what the original was these really dynamic scenes. Like, it's a real build-up in story to get to a point where you empathize with the characters, you know their backgrounds, and so that way you're ready. Once you get Skull Island, you have a means of relatedness to each of these characters, so that way when each of them has a sad demise, you feel for them, and it makes more of a dramatic film viewing means. And so when it came to recreating those really dramatic moments, they had no choice. Like, they handed it all over to the animators, and that's all we did and it was really fun too, to really get in and to see what was possible using this model, and really to keep it as close as we could to what a gorilla would do, and we had some great results. So it was another nice marriage like they did for the Lord of the Rings. But in this case, the motion capture, really came across in a couple of the facial shots they used that were just very long in length, which would take an animator, a couple of months to do when we had so many shots to do that there's no way we could dedicate the time for that. Because our crew built up to about 73 animators in production of just over 500 total at WETA Digital, and we had so many effect shots that it was just amazing. At the beginning, we were at a schedule of about one shot for every about 5-7 days. You'd have to finish a shot. And so by the end of production, you'd have 3 days. And that we had a month left of production. We still had to do more visual effect shots in the whole trilogy. So as a result of having to really push it out, they decided to use it accordingly, whenever they needed